Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have to get the latest on the very cold week we do have incoming, which could also be potentially very wintry as well, especially in the second half of the week, as it is looking likely to see not only a lot of wintry convection coming in from the east for northern areas, but also some frontal snowfall looks possible further southwards as well. Some runs even showing a bit of a winter storm pattern, i.e. seeing lots of heavy precipitation, but also some very strong gusty winds. Now at the moment it is looking very marginal for the snowfall further southwards, as ever, especially early in the season. Some runs showing rain, some runs showing rain, sleet and snow, other runs showing completely snow, and it's all going to be to do with the exact temperatures with the air mass and of course the exact positioning of the low pressure as well. Now in this video we'll go through all the various models, having a look at what they are showing today and what is the most likely scenario over the next few days and the next week in general, and then we will finally have a look at the longer range as well to see how long this cold spell could last as we do progress into December. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now if you start on the live radar, it doesn't look particularly cold or wintry at all at the moment, as we do have rainfall moving in, no blues at all on the map for the UK, so no snow at all, but that's because we're seeing a temporary wedge of milder air as a bit of a low pressure system moves in. As this pulls away through tomorrow, then the cold air will come flooding back in. But at the surface at the moment, under the trapped cloud and rain, it actually is still very cold, only 2 or 3 degrees in places at the moment. Those temperatures will slowly rise through the evening as that milder air does filter through to the surface. So it is pretty much the coldest it's going to be right now for tonight, and those temperatures will probably get up to 6 or 7 degrees tomorrow before eventually dropping again through Monday night, widely down towards freezing again, and then all areas will be bitterly cold once again Tuesday and Wednesday before the risk of snow comes in beyond that. But at the moment, we've got rain moving in from the west. It doesn't look too intense at the moment, but it is forecasted to pep up. We're not seeing too much of that at this stage, but all the models do have this precipitation gaining strength, gaining size and intensity, so we'll have to see what that does develop to overnight. But at the moment, the cold air has withdrawn back out to the North Sea, up towards Scandinavia, but will be coming flooding back in within the next 48 hours. Now you can see at the moment, under the trapped cloud and rain further eastwards, it's still pretty bitterly cold. Lighter blues indicating temperatures towards the low single digits, but out to the west, plenty of yellows developing as we are seeing milder air coming in behind that weather front. So it's a warm front moving in at the moment, and it will continue to make progress before eventually clearing away. Scotland actually is probably likely to stay in some of the coldest air, so even tomorrow still will probably be low single digits at best. So even though, yes, milder air is moving in, it is still going to feel pretty chilly tomorrow before we do descend back towards proper wintry conditions once again through Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, if you look at the latest UKV, you can see the rain moving through this evening, pepping up and giving more intensity, and eventually clearing through tomorrow morning. Beyond that, as that weather front clears, we see the northeasterly wind arrive, and we do start to see some snow showers return. But the cold air does take a bit of time to filter back in, so initially most of these showers will be rain or a bit of a wintry mix. For the rest of Monday, it's still probably be 6 or 7 degrees or so, but that cold air is filtering back in, and it will cool those temperatures down considerably in the north through Monday night and widely into Tuesday. So as we progress into Tuesday, more of those showers will start to turn to snow for northern and eastern areas, and widely it'll be a much colder day with that bitterly cold northeasterly wind continue to pull in. But as we progress into Wednesday, look out to our west, some rainfall arriving, some precipitation, persistent precipitation arriving, and this is this low pressure system that is going to slide throughout the southwest, eventually collide with that cold air and potentially give some quite widespread precipitation, which will be wintry in flavour in places for England and Wales. Now the UKV here has a bit of a wintry mix. It's got some rain, it's got some sleet, and it's got some snow, which is those pink colours. But you can see, if we do run this on a little bit further, there's lots of on and off here. Some bits of snow, bits of rain, again coinciding with slight areas of elevation. Again, highlighting how marginal this event will be. If we have a look at the dew points, you can see the dew points are around the 0 to 2 degree mark. Anywhere where it's 0, probably snow. 1 or 2 degrees, probably rain or sleet. But you can see further north, those dew points are freezing cold. So it's just a matter of timing and exactly how much of that cold air mass does filter southwards. And this is why, as I said, it is so marginal, a matter of a couple of hours, a couple of tens of miles in the positioning of the air mass, and maybe even just a degree in the change of the dew point or the upper air temperatures can make the difference between 5 to 10 centimetres of snow or a bit of slushy rain, sleet and snow mixing in there. You see this with the upper air temperatures, very mild air to our south, mixing in with this bitterly cold air. And again, the bitterly cold air does eventually win out beyond that. And if we do go to the precipitation chart, we do start to see snow showers widely in the east, potentially some persistent snow, as I said, some real quite heavy convection in places as this does move in for the first day of December. So from the looks of this, many areas of Scotland and northern England could be waking up to a blanket of snow for the first day of December. Southwards, we could be seeing that, we could be not seeing that. It all depends on the positioning of that low, and a lot of runs have different conflicting scenarios at this stage. But regardless of what falls out of the sky, the temperatures are going to be freezing. This afternoon, you see the temperatures peaked at maybe 3 or 4 degrees across much of England, Wales and Scotland. But those temperatures will be rising tonight, apart from the far north of Scotland, where it will stay below freezing. Into tomorrow afternoon, we're seeing temperatures perhaps peak around the sort of 7 or 8 degree mark around the mid-morning, before slowly peeling away into the afternoon. By 3 p.m, down to 4 to 6 degrees again. Through Monday night, still got a bit of trapped cloud and milder air, so we will struggle to get down towards freezing for England and Wales, but for Republic of Ireland and Scotland, probably down towards freezing again. Into Tuesday, though, those temperatures will actually continue to drop during the day as the cold air filters in, and by 3 p.m, still only looking at 5 to 7 degrees in the south, and those temperatures dropping away rapidly overnight. Widespread frost, once again, freezing the ground pretty hard into Wednesday, and Wednesday afternoon, we're really struggling. Again, you can see the contrast between the very cold air to our north and the slightly less cold air further southwards and westwards. 7 or 8 degrees across parts of Cornwall, -1 or 2 across Scotland. And again, just highlights how regional the cold is at this stage, and how subtle shifts of 50 to 100 miles in air mass can make the difference between 3 or 4 degrees or 0 degrees. As we progress beyond that into Thursday, we do start to see that cloud moving in, and that's going to try and hold those temperatures up further southwards. And you can see as we head through Thursday into Friday how marginal the temperatures are further southwards. Widely, we are still looking around that sort of 0 to 3 degree mark. And again, all depends on the precipitation, the air mass, and the timings of this. So yes, looking freezing cold through the rest of this week. Many areas from around Tuesday evening onwards are not going to get much above freezing, maybe 3 or 4 degrees at best in some areas. But even then, sometimes these models do overdo the temperatures by a degree or two at this stage. So we will just have to see what happens later this week. But it's going to be one of those we're going to have to keep a very close eye on the models. If we do now have a look over at the GFS, see what that is showing, we'll just quickly refresh it as it is only just updating. You can see at the moment that low pressure is moving away, and it's eventually going to draw those northeasterly winds in back from Scandinavia. Then we see that low pressure system develop to our west, and it's going to push into the south and skirt the south coast. The GFS here actually does produce some really heavy snowfall for much of England and Wales, which we'll have a look at in a minute. As that clears, we see bitterly cold northeasterly wind continue to drive in off the North Sea, giving lots of wintry showers in places. As we head beyond that, we do try to break a westerly flow in, but the GFS holds off the westerlies for a little bit, continuing to push low pressure in. But into the longer range, the GFS definitely trending more of a westerly theme here, with a pretty stormy pattern developing. Still a bit of blocking to our north, but the Atlantic onslaught starts here into the first couple of weeks of December. You still see a bit of a Scandinavian high, but mostly here, these GFS run from around the day, sort of 9 onwards, is going much milder once again. Still too far away to say for certain, but that's definitely how it has trended over the last sort of couple of days. Now, if we do have a look at the latest from the precipitation charts for this GFS run, you see over the coming days some wintry showers in the north and the east, especially through Wednesday and Thursday, and then that low approaches from the south, initially perhaps rain, before widely turning to snow through the morning, giving heavy snow in places, perhaps dumping 5 to 10 centimetres, but you can see how marginal it is. Some areas rain, some areas snow, and it will all, as I said, depend on the exact temperatures, the exact timings, and the exact positionings of this low. Gusty winds will be seen with this as well. Again, we did have a look at the UKV gusty winds But you can see here, as we progress through Wednesday into Thursday, we're looking at 40, 50 miles per hour, and this is why I said there could be a risk of this even being a winter storm. GFS as well, if we have a look at its wind gusts, again producing 40, 50, or even 60 miles per hour towards the south coast there as that system moves through. On its back edge, though, pretty much all of the precipitation starts to fall as snow, and then we see a lot of wintry showers piling in from the North Sea before eventually getting cut off towards the latter part of the weekend. Now, if you compare to the GM, which has been a little bit more bullish with continuing the colder pattern into the longer term, you can see the northeasterly winds return by Tuesday. That low pressure skirts our south coast, giving heavy snowfall in places for eventually clearing and continuing that northerly flow. Another low moves through, but much further northwards, which would give frontal snowfall for Scotland and northern England, probably more rain and milder conditions further southwards. And as we progress beyond that, it does try to bring in more of a westerly flow, but right here, the extended range of this GM run, we still are in that cold air all the way into the first full week of December. If we do have a look at the GM charts here for the precipitation, if we do progress to the latter part of this week, you can see snow showers moving in, and then as we head towards Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, that snow moves in for southern areas, heavy snow in places, for eventually slowly clearing out into the North Sea, out towards Europe, and then we see lots of snow showers piling in from the North Sea. So GFS very similar to the GM here, where we do see heavy snow in places, but it is marginal. Some areas seeing rain, some areas seeing sleet, some areas seeing snow. It is going to be very up and down the next few days. I do suspect we will see some runs showing all snow, we'll see some runs showing mostly rain, and I do think we will most likely be somewhere in the middle. There's also the caveat with this is that the low pressure system can actually move. A lot of people have already stated that in these sort of scenarios, low pressures do tend to shift slightly further southwards at this time frame. And if that does happen, that would mean more of the precipitation would fall as snow, but it would mean there would be actually less precipitation over land. So again, we'll have to keep a very close eye on that. If we do continue to have a look at the ECMWF, which is the midnight run, here's the midday run, hasn't updated yet. You can see again northeasterly winds returning over the next couple of days. Eventually that low moves in for the south, but once again skirting the south coast, and then eventually we stay in those cold northeasterly winds. Another low approaching, and again further southward, so could give more widespread snow. And then right towards day 10, we stay cold and blocked. So unlike the GFS, which does break through the westerlies, this stays very cold and would stay particularly blocked as well. And look out to our northeast, even colder air is gathering. And if we did start to bring in another brisk easterly wind, we would go even colder and potentially even snowier as well. So we need to keep a very close eye on this longer term pattern. So you see all three models today, GFS going milder longer term, GM kind of in the middle, looks like it's going to go milder, but still holding it off at day 10, and the ECMWF actually building another block to produce another spell of colder weather. If we do have a look at the ECMWF precipitation charts, you can see it is broadly similar to the other runs, whereas we progress to the latter part of this week, you can see the precipitation moving into the south, you can see the precipitation is further offshore, and again, it's a mix of rain, sleet and snow. As it does clear, though, we see lots of heavy snow showers pushing in, and even some frontal snow further southwards and eastwards, and again could give some widespread accumulations as that does clear, and as we head right towards the end of the run, it does eventually try to push a bit of a westerly pattern in, but look, that low pushes southwards, giving perhaps a bit more rain as the cold air does get shoved away for a time, before plunging us back into the cold air once again at day 10. If we do actually have a look at the snow depth charts here, again, I wouldn't take these too literally, but you can see quite a widespread covering of snow towards the latter part of this week. Nothing ridiculous, a few centimetres in most areas, before eventually clearing in the longer term. So all three main operational runs today are showing snowfall falling for much of England and Wales. Accumulations, again, highly variable, highly uncertain. And further northwards, lots of convective showers where accumulation would be more likely with especially higher elevations, but also because you're in the colder or even colder air. So yeah, looking like a very wintry end of this week is incoming. And again, at the risk of even a winter storm, if that low pressure does stay the same intensity as some runs are showing with the gusty winds and the heavy snow. Now, to finish by having a look at the latest ensembles, The latest 12 o'clock ensembles are just updating here from the GFS. You can see it is pretty bullish now on pretty cold air for the next week or so, but at the 4th or 5th of December, actually, most runs are rising in its upper air temperatures, i.e. that cold air running out. You can see a little bit of a bump later this week. That's when that low arrives, could introduce some slightly milder air. But again, introduces precipitation, and quite a few of these ensemble members do produce some snow. Again, it's highly variable here. A few runs are up towards the 5 to 10 centimetre plus range. Some runs fairly minimal, and of course there'll be some runs that produce nothing at all. Again, it all depends on the dew points here, which are hovering around that freezing point, but do rise slightly above through Thursday and Friday. I do think, again, the ensembles aren't going to be particularly great at this, as it is going to be very much a sort of a touch-and-go event. So high-resolution models are going to have the best go at forecasting this. So again, the ensembles can take it at face value. But I do think the short-range models are going to be a lot better, which we will concentrate on looking at over the next few days, as they all do get the latter part of this week in their time frame. TB's temperatures look really cold this week. Most ensembles not getting above 5 degrees, and I think it will be colder than that. Again, ensemble members overdo the temperatures here, as it's not going to be 10 degrees tomorrow at all, even though the ensemble members are showing that. Again, it doesn't always take into fact sort of radiation, which is where we see all the heat escape, and that allows us to see overnight frosts, and of course evaporative cooling, things like that. It can come into effect with precipitation falling, keeping those temperatures down, and potentially even, as said, producing snowfall. If you do compare to the ECMWF ensembles, we have to look at the midnight run, unfortunately, as it only has the midday run hasn't come out yet. You can see less of a bump as we head towards the latter part of this week, which would indicate, yes, milder air staying further away, but potentially the lower pressure slightly further south as well. Still quite a bit of precipitation here, and most of these I think would actually be falling as snow, looking at these latest ensemble charts. Longer term, we see a massive split. I'd say about 2/3 to 3/4, bringing us back towards average or above average with that milder southwesterly. You can see a minority, around 1/3 to 1/4 of runs, keep us cold, or even going bitterly cold down towards the -10 to -15 isotherm. Those are the runs that keep that block, like the operational run did show, and then draw that very cold air from Siberia back in. That would put us in a locked-in cold spell, and it would be absolutely freezing if that came off, with the ground becoming rock solid, frozen. Any precipitation falling would be snow if that scenario did come off. At this stage, though, you can see majority don't think that's going to happen, but it is a risk, and the ensemble members in the longer term are flip-flopping quite a bit, and we'll just have to keep a very close eye on it. So it's looking like it's going to be very interesting as we progress through the rest of, as we progress into this upcoming working week, as there is the risk of some heavy snowfall in places. I'll keep a very close eye on the models and the Met Office warnings, as I do think there is going to be a lot of variability over the next couple of days. And even as we progress towards Wednesday and Thursday, I still think there's going to be considerable uncertainty. We won't know until the precipitation is actually falling out of the sky. So as I said, make sure you keep an eye on all the models. Keep your eye on the videos, of course. I'll keep you updated to the best of my ability. Of course, we'll get videos out most evenings. And again, don't take any precipitation chart too literally at this stage, at this sort of time frame. They are good sort of indicators of what could happen, but by no means are they showing what is going to happen. We're going to have to wait until at least a day or two out. Perhaps even then, it might just be a nowcast situation. So please don't get your hopes up. Yes, looking like a decent chance we see some snows, perhaps even some heavy snow later this week, but it's not guaranteed at this stage. And as said, we'll have to keep a very close eye on it. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.